Okay, it's now 6:08. I'm going to call this meeting to order. There's a special school committee meeting, and Tom is going to start with a little presentation, and then we'll have the motion.
Mr. Chairman, the purpose for our meeting this evening is to have you take action on a recommendation I'm bringing you to amend the debt authorization that you voted on back on April 5th. Since that vote, we have learned that the Hanson Finance Committee has taken a vote to not recommend the article. And as you all know, our ability to borrow money depends on us being a good partner with our sending communities and also our ability to secure all 8 towns' support. So as I look at this, as we go into our next slate of town meetings next week, while I can't say for certain what would be the outcome, I do think that a reduction of our overall authorization shows us attempting to be responsive to where our communities are, while at the same time not, it doesn't necessarily water down our plan. The recommendation that I'm bringing you is to reduce the authorization to $10,516,372. And that number is the equivalent of the first 3 years of our 5-year plan. So it doesn't change, the needs remain the same. Where, we have a 1962 building. A lot of what we want to do here is to preserve fixed assets. We want this school to go very deep into the 21st century. And in order to do that in the most affordable way, we think that borrowing is part of that solution versus larger capital budgets on an annual basis. So we asked our financial advisor to take a look at the numbers if we were to phase it in over 3 years. And what I learned is that because we can project out over a shorter period of time, that is fiscal 23, 24, and 25, our advisors can more confidently predict lower interest rates. As you might remember, we were using a more conservative number. We didn't want to put in teaser rates for interest, given that we were going to face something in over 5 years. That was our original concept. So the modeling that we're looking at now has us potentially, again, doing nothing in fiscal 22. This has no impact on fiscal 22 or the assessments we're seeking. But it would start us, similar to what we said a few weeks ago, we would start with 2 years of interest-only borrowing, and then we would, in the 3rd year, fiscal 25, roll this 10.5 million into a 20-year bond. And the interest rates that we could use for these projections would be 1.75, 1.9, and 2.5. So that certainly helps. The additional analysis shows that we'll have some flexibility as to whether or not we want to have a level debt service structure or a level principal structure. In our previous presentations, we talked about level principal. And I'm sure you understand that if you have level principal, it means you're paying more principal up front. You have lower interest costs over the life of the bond. A level debt service model is trying to keep the number as low as possible. You pay a little more interest over the life of the bond, but the numbers are lower. I think the key takeaway in recommending this reduction, this amended authorization, is that at its highest borrowing mark, at the high water mark of the borrowing, which would be when we go to bond in fiscal 25, the total amount to our towns would actually be less than the fiscal 22 capital expenses we're seeking right now. So I see this as a more affordable way of us meeting the needs of the school building and our students, and it giving our towns the capacity and us the capacity to manage this. It doesn't mean that what we want in years 4 and 5 is wrong or isn't something that we're not going to revisit. I think we have to try to find a constructive, collaborative way to get a portion of this. Again, we're looking for the tools to manage future projects, to make them more affordable for our communities. So what I would intend to do, should you support this recommendation, is I'll make available to our communities all the necessary analysis that we have available, but it will essentially show what I've said, that to borrow $10.5 million phased in, the cost per town based on the cost share, we would actually see capital infrastructure costs go down as a result. So, Mr. Chairman, I think that's probably enough,
Yep.
in a nutshell of what is a topic that everyone is pretty well versed on. But that's the rationale behind it, and I look forward to opportunities in our communities to to discuss this further and ultimately have folks at respective town meetings weigh in on.
Thank you, Tom. Jack, you ready?
Tom, what is your feeling with Hanson by doing this there? Do you think that will sway them into a positive vote for the new budget?
Bob, I can't say, I certainly can't say for certain. I would, I know that they made a recommendation based off of our original number. If they were able to revisit it before the town meeting, maybe that they would change their recommendation. But I wanted to bring, I guess I wanted to bring a recommendation that at least showed that, we've done our homework. Our plan, I think, is a sound plan. And if the numbers get crunched and they show that the cost is actually going to be less versus us having to keep large capital budgets and stretch out projects further. So I'm hopeful, and I'm hoping that it would be seen, again, Hanson and other communities who haven't passed a recommendation one way or another. I hope that they would see that as us attempting to still meet the needs of the school, but also not be tone deaf to the needs of our towns.
Well, I can't speak for the other towns, but I know we have the recommendations from the selectmen and the finance committee for the 18. So if we make an amendment to it, I don't think there's any problem in my town, Rockland, but I think they'd be all in favor of that recommendation.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I would hope that would be true. And then in fiscal 25, we would prepare another, the second phase of this proposal and see what life looks like at that point.
Right.
Anybody else have a question for Tom? Seeing
No, but
none.
I got a comment, Bob.
Go ahead, Bob.
That you mentioned the Gazette over there. What do they call it? They're going to put an article in on our new recommendations and try to sway the public for us, Tom and Chris.
I'm sorry, Bob. Could you say that again?
Is the Chronicle or Gazette, whatever they have, the local paper, going to put a comment on it for us, trying to help us with the citizenry, the voters?
Yeah, I'm sure the Hanson Express will put something in there.
I know that there is a reporter from the Patriot Ledger who's covering this meeting, and the Whitman Hanson Express covers our business, on a regularly.
Because that's what we got to do is sway the voter now, not the finance committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if we get the word out as to what we're doing and the reasons why, it'll those facts will speak for themselves.
Good.
Thank you.
I make a motion to go along with Dr. Hickey recommendation to lower the debt to $10 million.
We've already voted that, Bob.
We have to have Jack read the motion.
So I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, just before Jack gets started, Bob Mahoney, Jack's got a lengthier motion to read, so would you mind withdrawing that motion?
I'll withdraw the motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're on, Jack.
just, sorry, Jack, you're
You're
on
on
mute.
mute. There you go.
Okay. That was just a test run.
Practice, yeah.
Okay. Voted that the vote of the Regional District School Committee adopted on April 5th, 2021, authorizing the borrowing of $18,960,537 to pay cost of remodeling and making extraordinary repairs to the South Shore Regional Vocational Technical High School, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, as more fully described in the district's 2018 Facilities Master Plan, is hereby amended in its entirety to read as follows. Voted that the South Shore Regional Vocational School District, also known as the district, hereby appropriates the amount of $10,516,372 to pay costs of remodeling and making extraordinary repairs to the South Shore Regional Vocational Technical High School, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, as more fully described in the district's 2018 Facilities Master Plan. To meet this appropriation, the district is authorized to borrow said amount under the pursuant to Chapter 71, Section 16D of the general laws and the district agreement as amended, or pursuant to any other enabling authority. Any premium received upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such premium applied to the payment of the costs of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment costs approved by this vote in accordance with General Law, Chapter 44, Section 20, thereby reducing the amount authorized to borrow to pay such costs by a like amount. Upon the completion of the improvements described in the district's 2018 Facilities Master Plan, the district shall not borrow or expend any remaining funds authorized to be borrowed by this vote for any additional capital projects without prior approval of the district member towns, in accordance with provisions of General Law, Chapter 71, Section 16D. Further voted, within 7 days from the date of which this above vote was adopted, the secretary be and hereby is instructed to notify the Board of Selectmen or Select Board, as the case may be, of each of the member towns of the district as to the amount and general purpose of the debt herein authorized as required by the district agreement and by Chapter 71, 16D of the general laws. And that's it.
Thank you, Jack. Do I have a second?
Second, Dan Whitman.
Okay, thank you. All right, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Hanover is yes. Cohasset,
Yes.
Abington,
Yes.
Situate,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Rockland,
Yep.
and Whitman.
Yes.
Okay.
You forgot Norwell.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You're on my screen. Sorry, Bob. Norwell. He was yes. I didn't have a picture there, Bob. I apologize.
Thank you,
That's
thank you, Mr.
unanimous.
Chairman. Thanks, everyone. We'll notify the communities as Jack read in that motion and provide them with updated information.
Okay, thank you. Any other business for us today? Seeing none, do I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion,
from
Dan.
Abington.
Abington, seconded by Whitman. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.